I've lived in Taiwan, I've lived in South Korea, and I'm about to leave to Japan for 4 months. I've also been on many trips and vacations. I've traveled, and I can tell you now, they serve very different purposes. There's something that happens when you stay somewhere for a year that just doesn't happen in a week. And if I can inspire one person watching this video to go on a year abroad, this video will have been worth it. Hi guys, welcome to my first car chat. I have an iced coffee. I have been getting them a lot recently and this is a problem. Today I really want to talk about the difference between travel, short-term travel, and living minimum a year abroad. This is something I get asked a lot by my friends. Oh, should I go on a short-term exchange or should I go on a long-term? And I always recommend the long-term. Today I want to talk a little bit more about why. I just want to give like a quick comparison of travel versus a year abroad. Travel is fast-paced. It's highly curated and you're packing a lot of things into a very short period of time. A short-term travel period creates an emotional high. A year abroad is slower. It's more uncomfortable. While everything is initially so exciting and new and different, you eventually create that routine. Life becomes more repetitive because, like in your home country, you have to create routine and structure. So first, when we are traveling, we often see the other country as the other. It's something separate from us. We're an outsider coming in and we're observing it. But when you live somewhere long enough, something shifts. You're not just observing anymore. You have a routine. The streets are starting to become familiar. You have a favorite restaurant that you like to go to, maybe a cafe, and you have friends. Eventually, you stop feeling like a guest and it becomes your home. And this sounds like the cheesiest thing that all people who, study abroad say like, oh, my second home. But truly, you spend enough time somewhere and you realize, oh, this feels like the definition of home too. It's not just where I grew up. That's home. It's where you make a home. This is how you know it feels like home. It feels like the feeling of leaving home all over again. When I was in Taiwan, the day I had to leave was devastating. I had to leave behind all my new friends and family that I had grown so close with. And coming home to America felt completely different because I felt like I had left part of my home in Taiwan. And later, the same thing happened to me in Korea. And then it just starts to feel like your little heart is scattered all over the place, which can be a really beautiful thing. After a year abroad, unknowingly, you start to shift to their customs, you become familiar with them, and learn to appreciate them. Learn to appreciate how this other culture is affecting your own personal values. When you let another culture into your own values, I think that is the epitome of what being a global citizen is all about. Travel is important because it allows you to see new places and gain a new perspective, but living abroad for a year actually lets you implement those cultural values in your own daily life. If you're only somewhere for 2 weeks, it's really hard to really let the cultural norms and values of another place sink into your being, into your routines, into the way you live life. I feel like when you're at least a year abroad, you can start to feel it affecting your own mindset, your own values in a really positive way. Okay, next. Let's talk about language because this is one of my favorite things. This is the driver of why I initially went abroad. I wanted to learn other languages. I was so fascinated by language. Simply put, a year in another country forces you into the language in a way that travel just can't. In a way that a 2 or 1 week trip cannot. On a 2-week trip, you can survive in English. Many signs are in English, menu items can be in English, and even if something isn't in English, Google Translate makes it very easy to translate a menu if needs be. The point is, you can survive 1 to 2 weeks in another country with just knowing English. When you live somewhere for an extended period of time, you get so tired of not knowing the language. It becomes frustrating. Google Translate is not going to give you the depth of experience that actually learning the language yourself is going to give you. When I say you get tired of not understanding, I mean you want to order food in that country's language. You want to talk to the shop workers in their language. You want to say, how much is this? And I'll take this one, please. You want to be able to talk to friends. Just have a simple conversation. You want to make jokes. Exchange students, no matter what, they end up learning somewhat of the language because eventually they find it to be a necessity. I'm not naive in telling you that it's possible to get native level fluency in 1 year. Anyone that tells you get native fluency in 1 year, like, okay, maybe, but also language is learned slowly and through hard work, but most of the time it takes a couple years to get to a true level of native fluency. Within a month of living somewhere, you realize that even just knowing parts and pieces of their language is really, like, genuinely a doorway into their culture, into how they live, into understanding them more. Learning someone else's language is a crucial form of connection. Many expats and exchange students don't end up learning the language of the country that they're in, and I truly feel like that is such a missed opportunity. Like I mentioned, I went on a Rotary Youth Exchange when I was 15 to Taiwan, and one of the Rotary Youth coordinators told me that she believes if everyone had the opportunity to go on a international exchange, she believes the world would be a more peaceful, better place. And at first when I was 15, I thought this sounded a little idealistic. It really stuck with me. It stuck with me still. And it wasn't until I came home from my exchange that I really understood what she meant. When you really live somewhere, you stop reducing a country to the headlines, the stereotypes, the politics of that country, and you just see people. And once you see people, once you really get to know them, it's so much harder to dehumanize them. Getting to know a culture firsthand and learning from their perspective really takes time and effort. It's possible that a 2-week trip can spark that initial curiosity. That's obviously a really valuable experience, but to me, it still lacks the depth that a year abroad can really give you. Last but not least, let's get another sip. This is delicious. Woo! I'm from the United States. As I said, I'm here in Utah right now. And growing up, I heard all the time, and I still hear this, that the United States is the greatest country on earth. But after living in Taiwan and then South Korea, I just continued to realize that that wasn't true. I feel like I can see more clearly the pros and cons of every place. Everyone evaluates a place based on their own values. I just feel like I came out of my experience abroad realizing, just having a much more objective view of what my values are, regardless of where I'm from, and I've started to gather things from all the places that I've lived. Okay, so everything I've said is true and well and dandy, but here is the important part. Here's what I need you to remember. None of what I just said, learning a language, being immersed in the culture, having an open mind, none of that happens automatically. Living abroad is what you make of it. You can live abroad and still somehow stay in your bubble. You can hang out with the same people from your country, you can play it safe, you cannot learn the language, and you can just treat it like an extended vacation. And a year can go by and you won't have gotten the experience that I'm telling you about. And that's not wrong. Everyone has different goals. When people sign up to go on a study abroad, they might just want it to be an extended vacation. But if you want immersion, it requires intention. Making local friends isn't easy. Learning the language isn't easy. Staying open-minded isn't easy, and loneliness is real. The loneliness you get abroad is real. So it's important that you know that all of this takes real effort, but I promise you that if you put yourself out there and go in with these intentions, you will get an experience that is much more rewarding. Just like a 1-week trip won't solve all your problems, a year abroad won't either. It won't make you better than anyone else, but it might change the way you see people. It might change the way you see home, the way you see the world, and the way that you see yourself. And that kind of perspective stays with you long after you come back. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this card chat. If you guys have any more questions about study abroad, living abroad, please let me know down below. If anyone wants to make that jump, I'd love to support you in doing that because it's truly, truly my passion. So yeah, let me know and I'll see you in the next one.